everybody. This your boy D Money. We on another episode of the A Lot of Fashion podcast. So make sure that you tap in, make sure that you like, subscribe, make sure that you also share with your friends and family so that way they can see the gems that we dropping here on the podcast. What we are going to be talking about on this episode is why some entrepreneurs burn out. And primarily what we've been, focusing in on this season is building a product from nothing, the mindset, the actual product development, and the launch. We've also talked about, what it takes in order to build a brand where, you are using that product not only as the product, but giving it meaning and also learning how to market it with meaning. You feel me? So let's get right into it. The core message behind the whole thing is burnout often comes, from imbalance and lack of structure with your business. You feel me? Hustle without direction eventually becomes, a waste of time. And normally, people just say, you gotta grind, you gotta hustle, but at the same time, you gotta be strategic in the moves that you're making, even when, you just starting out small and, trying to grow big. You feel me? Doing everything, alone, that's number one. Entrepreneurs, overwork themselves, and typically when you overwork yourself or overload yourself with a lot of work, it doesn't turn out well. Like, you might be able to do, everything good and decent, but it's not going to be exceptional. And in order for, your work to actually see the masses, you got to be able to, focus in on, certain things instead of everything. You got to be able to delegate, because delegation improves sustainability. Once you're able to delegate, certain, works, then, you put yourself in a position to where you have somebody that's A1 or at least B in the, skill or craft that can focus in on certain, things that you may not be good at or you don't have time to actually deal with that can actually improve your business exceptional. You know what I'm saying? Isolation also creates, stress for, the business owner and, the person that's mainly just focused on building the brand. So the main thing is that you got to get out in the world. You got to at least take a breath from time to time. You got to, experience different life experiences, social events, music, different activities, whatever it may be, just so that way, you can network and, connect with others that might be doing the same thing and at least have a like mind as you. You feel me? That helps you to create, or helps you to spark new creativity as well too. So number two is lack of boundaries. You feel me? You gotta, remember, constant work reduces clarity. So you gotta be able to, balance your time wisely. Time management, leadership, and just having a balance in your routine is key, because say if you're working 16 to 18 hours on your business and you don't take any breaks within every decision that you're making there and forward are not going to be consistent, because you're not going to have a full thought process behind anything that you're really doing. Rest improves the performance. So make sure that, when you're doing certain works, you get it done, but take a break, then move on to something else. You feel me? Sustain, growth requires what you call a discipline. You feel me? So you just gotta stay consistent, stay disciplined within the plan, because a lot of times people don't stay consistent within the plan that they have for themselves. They get distracted with, different opportunities that may not align with them, but that look good, or, just get distracted with the end result, with the instant gratification of it, instead of, just focusing in on the journey at hand. You feel me? So, ultimately, number 3 is, the pressure of being an entrepreneur. You feel me? And it's a mental state because early on, most entrepreneurs are going to deal with a lot of failure, whether it be financially, whether it be, with physical losses, mental losses, as far as just depressed because you're not winning, you wanting to quit, you fearing, the results of a new project. It's a lot of things just from a mental side of things. And then, like I said, financially, you could, go bankrupt. You could go, where you could lose your house, you could lose your car, you could lose, your kids, your wife, because, you're so obsessed with winning. And you got to learn how to balance these things so that way your life isn't, an example more so than the business. Because the business needs you to be well and 100% at all times. Like, you can't, win as an entrepreneur if you're not doing right and, if you're not in the right space. You feel me? It's just like on Wolf of Wall Street where, Jordan Belfort told, all his employees, like, hey, man, I don't care if you're single, you married, or, you got a girlfriend. You better tell your wife, to make sure to take care of you, before you come in here. So you got a clear mind. So that way when you get running, you answering them phones, you ready to, do some real work. And that's the whole thing. When you have a clear mind, you got a love for what you're doing, you're going to step in the spot and the place to be ready to go each and every time. So, like I always say, put a solid plan together, do the research, and, your dreams and goals will come to fruition. Keep visualizing. I'm out. Thank you guys for watching another episode of A Lot of Fashion. We appreciate you guys for liking and subscribing and also staying tuned through the whole episode. Make sure that you take these business gems and start visualizing your purpose. I am out.